Hello, hola, ni hao, namaste, and aloha. My name is Raj Raghunathan. I'm a visiting professor at the Indian School of Business in Hyderabad, India, and I welcome you to a life of happiness and fulfillment.
Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because
I'm going to tell you right off the bat what the stupidest happiness mistake to you. Right? This goes on for a few months. Then one day he comes running home to you and tells you that he's met somebody else at the gym who's motivated him to adopt a new life.
Hi everyone, this is Kamal Seth, founder and chief happiness officer of Human Circle, and we have Raj here, the amazing author of the book If You Are Smart, Why Aren't You Happy?
The author of the amazing book.
Author of the amazing book, as he says. So we caught up with Raj at this event, and we just thought we will give you some words of wisdom from the author himself about the book, and also especially to the students and young professionals out there. So Raj, if you could tell us what inspired you to write a book with such an intriguing name?
So I'm in the business school at the University of Texas at Austin, and I also come to India to teach at the Indian School of Business. So I'm surrounded by a lot of high achievement, smart, successful types.
Right.
And I myself have an MBA background and engineering background. So I'm very accustomed to and part of the group of people that consider themselves smart and they're pretty achievement oriented, end up being successful. One thing that I've noticed is that this group of people end up often sacrificing their happiness, their emotional well-being. Even though they are obviously successful, they're obviously smart, they end up not quite knowing how to lead a life that is a little more meaningful, more full, right?
So even though their priorities are not that clear? Or?
No, it's you could put it that way, but the way that the angle that I take in the book is that some of the very things that lead one to be smart and lead one to be successful, like for example a high desire for control, a somewhat narcissistic personality of me first, right?
Right.
And a tendency perhaps to not trust other people as much. Those are the very things that often come in the way of being happy.
They backfire for happiness.
Yes.
We have a lot of people here who are very curious to know, as they are graduating or as they are taking up their first couple of jobs, or maybe even entering the startup world in some cases, how to make this decision, because sometimes we are in a dilemma to choose happiness over the short-term success, materially speaking. Like maybe there's a high-paying job, but there is a passion that I don't know whether I'll make money in it or not. So what would be your advice be to people who have this dilemma of how do you choose that at that stage of life when you're like 18 to 24?
Yeah. So look, here's what I would say, which is practical, right? I mean, it's very difficult to not be seduced by the allure of money and fame and prestige of working for a big company and all that, and go for it in the end if that's what you feel impelled to do. But at the very least, I think it's very important for you to know where your passions lie and what you're really good at. Okay, so if you think about 4 circles, right? One is, what am I good at? Where do my passions lie? What will the world need?
What does the world need?
What does the world need and what
pay me for?
Yeah, I would say rather than starting with the latter circle, start with the former.
Okay.
I think that's better.
Even though it's difficult.
Even though it's tough, at the very least, get to know what your passions are, what are you good at, and then later on, you can end up kind of deciding to go with what will the world pay me for, what the world needs. But at least you've made a mental note of, okay, these are where my passions lie. And later on, when you're frustrated, perhaps, or when you discover that this is not giving you a sense of meaning, you can go back to the drawing board and say, okay, I did this exercise earlier. Let me see if this is the time to now transition into that job.
First of all, a lot of people don't know what they love doing. They don't know their passion. And in many cases, because of the startup wave going on in India and around the world, people end up choosing something like startups or entrepreneurship, thinking that they'll be just happy. So what would be your message for them that entrepreneurship is not necessarily equal to happiness?
Yeah, not necessarily equal to happiness. I think it's very, very important to gain skills first, because being a startup person, being an entrepreneur, a lot of the responsibility ultimately falls on your own shoulders. Whereas if you join a corporate job, working for somebody else, in the end, they are the ones who are paying the bills. So I think that for many people, it makes sense to first go and get your feet wet, in the industry that you're passionate about.
Right, at least in the industry that you're passionate about.
At least in the industry and where you want to ultimately be to your startup, right? So that you understand the ways of the world. You understand, for example, I mean, you might have a high degree of passion in starting a non-profit for children, for example, right? But you might really be bad at accounting or something,
Right.
which might be a very important skill. So at very least, you'll discover some of the things that you're not very good at, where you need to make up by perhaps hiring other people who are very good at that. So for the self-awareness bit, I think it's very important that you take this kind of a roundabout path. You know, you never lose sight of where your passion is and what you want to do, but you're also being practical.
So have your goal very clear and then go around. Even if the path is meandering, it's okay.
It's okay, yeah. It's a nice long life, right? I mean, so enjoy it, yeah.
Thank you so much, Raj, for sharing your advice. Hopefully, we'll see Raj as a speaker at Young India Challenge in the future. So thank you so much for sparing your time. Thank you so much.
Take care.